This man is recognized as the strongest being, standing at the top of the world. Wealth, fame, power, in his eyes are not worth mentioning. The strongest apostle escaped and appeared in the human continent. The reason is to find his future wife. The scene changes. On the snowy plains of the freezing cold, a natural disaster and a magic beast, the ice dragon, has appeared in the snowy plains, leading the demons of the north. In order to protect the safety of the people, the Fram Empire has recruited troops to fight against it. But for this once-in-a-thousand-years beast, mercenaries are nothing more than a death sentence. The battle started right away. Countless mercenaries rushed forward, but they couldn't stand up to the beast. They were killed and wounded in an instant. The scared soldiers began to retreat. I muttered, "The difference in strength is too great. If this goes on, we may not get the commission to go on a date." At that moment a voice came. "Don't panic. Just because the opponent is strong doesn't mean we're going to lose. But if we back down, we're bound to lose." As he said that, he attacked the ice dragon with a powerful blow. The power of the blow seemed to color the sky and the earth red. This person's name is Kagome, one of the 4 ace mages of the Charlotte Flam Empire, known as the Flame Witch, appointed to lead the army in the siege. Seeing that it was Lord Kerr, it seemed that the whole army was instantly boosted in morale. But when the smoke cleared, the mighty ice dragon was unharmed, and it began to build up its strength, slaughtering the soldiers. When the nearby soldiers saw this, they began to throw away their armor and flee in all directions. In an instant, Chloe was the only one left. Chloe stood up slowly, enduring the pain, facing a powerful opponent. Her determination in her eyes did not diminish at all. This scene aroused my curiosity. I instantly came to her back and asked her, "Why don't you run away? It's obvious that you have no chance of winning this fight." Hearing the voice, Kuer was startled. "Who?" Turning her head and seeing me, I replied faintly, "A person who intends to mix some gold coins to go on a date is just that." "But you haven't answered my question," Kagome replied with a firm face. "Escape. I don't have these 2 words in my dictionary. Not now and not in the future." Looking at the girl in front of me, I sighed. Before Kuer could ask what she meant, a wave of cold air that is enough to freeze heaven and earth rushed straight to me. Kerr was so shocked, she could only wait for death to come, but that moment didn't come. When she opened her eyes, she saw the most incredible sight of her life. I saw an unbelievable scene in my life, only to see me with one hand in my pocket, one hand against the upper jaw of the ice dragon. The powerful cold air seems to be blocked in the ice dragon body. I threw the dragon out with one hand, but the ice dragon didn't seem to be convinced. It exuded a terrifying aura and wanted to tear me apart. I muttered, "In our village, children who misbehave will be burned." The magic array in my hand emitted terrifying soul power. In a few seconds, it melted a huge ice dragon. Only a single crystal remained. I turned to Kuer and said, "I saved your life. Do you want to consider dating me at your own expense?" Kagome was stunned that she was able to kill a natural disaster and a magical beast in a single hand. Kagome asked, "Who the hell are you?" After saying that, she fainted. I supported her and said to myself, "I'm just a little guy here to get gold." When Coco woke up, she realized that she was lying under a warm blanket. When she woke up, Acemans, the chief magician of the Flam Empire and the current headmaster of the Royal Academy, asked her how she was doing. Cole was still in a state of shock, shouting about the ice dragon. Acemans reassures her that the ice dragon has been destroyed. "Do you know how the ice dragon died in the end?" But Kagome's memory is blurry. "When we found you, you were already in a coma, but there was an object left at the scene." Curious, Kagome asked what it was. "It's a flame that can never be manipulated by humans, but only by the apostles. The apostles have been in hiding for so long. There must be something we don't know about this battle. In order to avoid involving the apostles and causing panic, the Empire will publicize that you hunted the ice dragon. So take the praise and leave the room." Overnight, the news of Kuer's victory over the ice dragon spread like wildfire across the continent. When I heard the news, I looked miserable. I've gone too far. If my identity is exposed, I'll never see those lovely ladies who treat me like a normal person again. I came to the human world just to find a wife. But now it's time for me to go to another city to hide from the wind. Lovely lady boss, beautiful bar girls, goodbye. Before I could leave, an army found this place and asked for Yao by name. And everyone in the room pointed at me. I was shocked. Had I been discovered? At that moment, the officer said, "I finally found you. You're the only one missing. Come with us to report to the Imperial Royal Academy." After all, the Imperial Royal Academy is the highest educational institution in the Flam Empire. The officer's face sank when he heard the discussion, asking everyone here, Who is like this young man? Who participated in the Battle of the Ice Dragon? It is said that there are very few survivors of that battle left, and he is still able to stand here intact. Do you still have any questions? Everyone was dumbfounded. No one had a word to say. At that moment, a man raised his hand. This person is me. I saw a serious face and asked him, "The school more beautiful girls?" There was a sudden silence. The screen turned to the testing hall. I realized that this place is just heaven. It's really exciting. At this time on the high platform, a soldier inquired, "Lord Acemans, you want to provide those mercenaries who have no strength with the opportunity to further their training?" Acemans smiled a little deeply. "Looking at my back," he said, "give the young people some opportunities. There may be unexpected gains." At this time, a voice came from the hall. "The entrance examination will begin soon. I hope everyone here can survive successfully." At that moment, many magic formations appeared in the hall. When they heard the word survive, the nearby students still didn't understand what was going on. A high-level flame demon wolf was slowly approaching. The nearby students were already terrified. Looking at the frightened faces of the nearby students made me sigh. This kind of fish is worth making a fuss over. It's really disdainful. The nearby students have already started to cast spells, but after a burst of attacks, the flaming demon wolf was unharmed and started attacking the nearby students. Looking at the attacking flame demon wolf, the young lady couldn't stop trembling in fear. Tears welled up in her eyes. She didn't expect the academy to be serious. When the nearby students saw the scene, they started to flee in all directions. But I was speechless. Just like that, at that moment, a man stood out. "If we run away, we'll only be used as a torch." As he spoke, he released a wind chain to trap the flaming demon wolf. He commanded the rest of the team to attack the wolves. The archery department will block the left flank. The magic department will attack the right flank. The melee department stabilized the front. Under a combined attack, the flame wolves fell one by one. Before they could start cheering, a huge force swept through the entire hall, converging in the vortex. Unexpectedly, the flame demon wolves actually merged together and spat out flaming bombs, attacking the entire hall. At that moment, an attack flew towards me. Looking at such a weak move, I muttered, "I really don't want to dodge it, but I can't be too high profile in this situation." Just when I was torn, a voice came out, "Be careful." I saw a lovely young lady pushing me away. After the attack dispersed, she asked me how I was doing. At this moment, I was blushing and didn't know how to answer. But the flaming demon wolf's attack continued. Miss hurriedly stood up and said sweetly, "Next time, don't daze off in the middle of a battle. Leave it to me." Looking at the young lady's figure, it's really hard to resist. I covered my mouth and laughed softly. Is this what it feels like to have your heart moved? Have you ever seen such a sweet girl? In order to save me, she not only risked her life, but also asked me how I was doing, and told me not to be silly in the middle of the battle. She even stood in front of me and said, "I'll take care of this." Looking at her back, is this what it feels like to have your heart moved? At this moment, she was still attacking the demon wolf. Her spells kept attacking the demon wolf. Then she raised her left hand, and a white magic formation appeared in the center of her palm. And then a sharp cold wind blew away the ice flowers and headed straight towards the direction of the demon wolf. At a time even the flames of the flaming demon wolf also become dim, but this attack did not defeat the monster. Instead, it enraged him and made him even more furious. "Now!" the girl shouted, and her spells kept attacking the demon wolf. However, this attack still couldn't hurt the wolf. The flaming wolf couldn't stop roaring. The nearby students also joined the battle, and the students were united like never before. At this moment, the young lady said that if we could help to delay it for a while, he could block the movement of the demonic wolf. Upon hearing this, countless magical spells hit the demonic wolf's body. Ice hammers, stones, wind blades, all of which made the demonic wolf unable to move for a while. Although it was not able to defeat the demon wolf, but it bought time for the young lady. Demon wolf swung his claws, and then finished off the students who rushed up to him. Knowing that the girl was the mastermind, the wolf roared and ran straight towards her. The young lady jumped to the top of the wolf and unleashed a magic spell. Magic formations appeared under the wolf's feet and above it. The wolf was still struggling, but it was too late. Miss has already released a double activation formation. The four paws of the wolf that are not wrapped in flames have been frozen in place by cold ice. The magic formation in the sky has been drawn successfully. From the magic formation, Chains are coming out and rushing towards the demon wolf. The demonic wolf was directly bound. No matter how much he struggled, it was useless. Seeing this, all the students nearby breathed a sigh of relief. I don't think there's any problem. I'll definitely talk to this young lady after the test is over. Just as I was masturbating in my mind, imagining a good time in the evening, a figure struck in the dark. A fire attack went straight to the demonic wolf, breaking through the young lady's magic formation. At that moment, the young girl realized that something was wrong, but it was too late now. She had already used up her strength and couldn't move. At that moment, the wolf's bloody mouth, which was wrapped in flames, was already swooping towards the girl, but just in the nick of time, a wall of wind formed by a powerful updraft unexpectedly appeared between the demon wolf and the young girl. The strong wind blew so much that the young lady couldn't even open her eyes. The young lady slightly opened one eye and looked at the person who cast the spell. The person who created the wind wall was the young blonde who could block the flames with his own magic. He directly blocked all the attacks. This wall of wind isn't even a beginner's magic, right? All the students around were shocked by this powerful wall of wind. Everyone in the room thought that the girl must have been saved, because this wall of wind definitely had the ability to bounce objects close to it. Seeing this scene, I just want to say, this person seems to have a bad brain. The wind is not strong enough, but it will fuel the fire. At this moment, the demon wolf is still slowly approaching Miss. At this moment, Miss's magic power hasn't recovered yet. I'm afraid it won't take more than a second for the wolf to bite the girl's white throat. When I saw this, I realized that it was my chance to show my skills. I slid my shovel close to the young lady, and then protected her. The girl's eyes were wide open, not knowing what to do. I took her by the shoulders. I took her in my arms and said, "Don't be afraid, my lovely sister. Wild dogs will be quiet if you kick them." As I said that, I kicked it, and it flew away with a strong force. The devil wolf was kicked into the wall, unable to move. Looking at the young lady in my arms, I think I'm going to be charmed now, but the tears in her eyes made me feel confused. Did I hurt you when I kicked the wild dog just now? Miss said, "No, I'm fine. Let go of your hand. Don't grab it again." A soft and warm touch was transmitted from my palm into my brain. It was a sacred object that I had never touched before. Soft and elastic. It was soft and elastic, firm and tender, and even if I encountered any trouble, it seemed that if I buried my face in it, I would be able to get sublimely relieved. Thinking of this, I hastily loosened my hand and explained, sorry, I didn't mean to. I was too comfortable for a moment. I didn't control my hand." The young girl red-faced did not say anything. You know now is in front of more than 30 people, plus 4 wolves were touched by you all. Seeing us in close contact, the students were talking, and the noise was endless. At that moment, the onlookers cursed at me. "Scum, how dare you take advantage of the crisis to molest the goddess?" "All right, everyone be quiet. The test is over," said a woman. One of the students asked the woman who she was. "Vice Principal Claire," said the woman. One of the boys asked, "Vice Chancellor, what's going on here?" The woman just spoke indifferently and asked what he was referring to. At this time the yellow-haired teenager stood out, pointing at the person lying down and loudly reprimanded. "Can the test be so dangerous? Do you know that a lot of people?" Before he finished speaking, Claire laughed coldly. Between the body of the person he pointed at, a little golden light appeared. The people who were lying down were turned into a channel of energy, which finally converged in Claire's hand. They turned into cards. Claire laughed and said, "What do you think happened to a lot of people?" Yellow Hair realized that it was an illusion. The surrounding discussion actually is the illusion of the puppet. Rumor has it that Claire Title is a magician, good at using magic to drive the object. I did not think that these are fake. Claire continued, "Now that I understand, I won't say any more. First of all, congratulations to everyone present for being selected into the ace class of the Royal Academy of the Flam Empire." The surrounding students discussed. "I heard that all the royal aces are taught by the royal magician himself. I wonder which lord is coming to take us this year." I pricked up my ears and secretly listened. Hearing this, my face flushed, secretly thinking, will the teacher be another cute young lady? Claire went on to say, "This year's ace was led by..." At this point, her words were stuttered, and I, seeing the so-called teacher, couldn't help but freeze. Claire pointed at someone and introduced her. "She will be in charge of the next class. That's Chloe. Charlotte, the wizard." "Chloe? Is that Chloe Charlotte?" "Charlotte. Oh my god, the flame witch, the hero who hunted the ice dragon." The students who hadn't seen Kagome before looked surprised, and no one dared to say anything. After introducing Kagome to the crowd, the vice headmaster waved his hand and left. Looking at the excited students, I can only hope that I won't be found out. Kagome said that the test is over, and that we'll meet tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in the fighting arena for the actual fight. If there are no other questions, we'll be dismissed. At that moment, the yellow-haired boy raised a question. Please wait a moment. Kagome didn't reply, but glared at the student with a very serious expression, as if she was very unhappy that someone had called out to her like that. If we enter this because of strength, then pointing at me, she said, then why does this guy get in too? When I heard this, I was in a cold sweat. I must be calm at this time. Kagome also asked, what's wrong with him? This guy is simply the fifth wolf on the field, or the kind of horny. In addition to taking the opportunity to molest the goddess, I have not seen him do anything, simply hateful to the extreme. Hearing this, the young lady hurriedly explained for me. No, he came to help, just accidentally. Hearing the words of the young lady, one of the students showed an expression of infatuation. Really kind goddess, ah. However, usually what you fear comes to you. Core at this time even walked towards you step by step. Seeing Chloe slowly approaching me, the young lady was worried, and I was scared out of my wits. I had already blurred her memory of me. She shouldn't have recognized me. Finally, Kagome came to me. Kagome stared at me and said, did we meet me somewhere? I waved my hands and said, how can that be? It's probably because my face is too popular. But you've got it all wrong, but half believing, although you say a bit of truth, but you are sure that you really have not seen it. I continued to explain. Yes, I'm sure. I've seen such a lovely girl like you before. I'm sure I'll remember. When the people nearby saw me flirting with Kuer, they all looked indignant. Kuer also blushed. Okay, I decided to temporarily integrate him into the ace class. Moreover, the previous girl had already explained for him, daring to molest a girl in front of the flame demon wolf. This kind of guts is already beyond the ordinary people. Hearing Kagome's compliments made my face light up. Kuer continued, of course, if any of you are dissatisfied with my decision, you can transfer to another class by yourself. Hearing this, the people in the neighborhood were indignant, but didn't dare say anything. However, when Yellow Hair on the side heard this, he gnashed his teeth in anger. In the late night after the entrance test, there was only one room in the school above the tower that was still lit up. Have the candidates for the ace class been decided this time? Aceman stood beside the fireplace, and looked at Claire and Kerr with his usual kind gaze. Teacher, there are 32 students in the ace class. 12 of them are young adventurers who have participated in the ice dragon slaying quest. Kerr answered Aceman's question in a very respectful manner. Acemans then asked what happened in today's test. Claire said, Lord Acemans, there was a student who was able to knock the flame demon wolf away from the test, but the point is that we only saw him appear in front of the demon wolf, and then in the next second, the demon wolf flew away as if its body was out of control. If it was just a flyaway, it could have been the use of natural magic, but is it really that simple? Kagome was thinking about it. You don't need to think about the matter of the apostle. It's getting late. Let's go home early. Claire and Kagome bowed to Acemans and walked out of the headmaster's office. After the door closed, the room was silent. Acemans was the only one left in the room. He slowly opened the drawer. Inside the drawer was the vial containing the hellfire. At that moment, Acemans took out the jade and looked at it for a long time, which eventually turned into a sigh. The next morning, according to Kagome's request, I woke up early and prepared to gather at the west side of the school's playground. I was barely able to walk down the road with my sleepy mind. I bumped into that cute girl from yesterday. Looking at her, I thought to myself, this is a good opportunity to get close to her. Thinking of this, I made up my mind and ran towards her. Looking at her attractive body, I left my mouth watering. In an instant, a pair of attractive balls were displayed in front of me, only to see the young lady make a lovely turn, almost making me die in place. The young lady ruffled her hair and asked softly, may I ask what's the matter? This makes me blush with a burst of shame and fire, lightly coughing twice to ease the embarrassment. That yesterday's test I did not mean it. Hearing this, Miss Shun instantly blushed. The two took the blame for each other. A sweet, eventually ended in a sweet smile from the young lady. Miss called Aisha, very nice name. Looking at her smile, I immediately conjured up an alluring picture. The pretty girl was lying on her side on the red sofa, and I took a paintbrush to record this beautiful scene on paper. Then I walked and chatted with her. This warm scene was seen by a man who held a grudge. Yellow Hair gritted his teeth and held a grudge. The students arrived at the playground one after another. Kuer introduced today's practical course. She snapped her fingers. A magic formation less than 2 meters in diameter instantly unfolded beside her. Then a red-colored tiger with flickering flames at its tail tip jumped out of the magic formation. Yan Hu! A student with glasses immediately called out the name of this summoned beast. We want 31 of us to deal with an inferno tiger? That's underestimating us, said Yellow Hair. Kagome said lightly, did I say that you would be the ones to deal with it together? The moment these words were spoken, 15 identical magic formations appeared behind her, and in the light of the magic formations, the one that appeared was no other than the inferno tiger. This afternoon's actual combat class was to defeat a tiger in a group of 2, and those who didn't pass the class would have to copy the content of this morning's textbook 100 times. Course words were dumbfounded by all the students. The morning's tactical theory was a whole 12 pages of content. I opened the lottery paper with shaky hands. Poor me. I'm not in Elsa's group. At that moment, a person's footsteps approached Elsa. Elsa froze when she saw the person walking towards her. Kyle put his right hand on his chest and bowed to Elsa. In front of Elsa, Kyle showed the manners that a nobleman should have. However, Aisha did not reply. Normally Aisha's character is very shy. However, Aisha's expression at this time in Kyle's eyes, but like because of shyness and do not dare to speak like. In order to leave a handsome image for Aisha, Kyle said that he could do it alone. At this moment, Aisha, who had not said anything, finally spoke up. Are you going to take on Yanhu alone? Kyle thought that Aisha was worried about him, so he was even more pleased with himself. As a summoned beast capable of sensing magic power, Yanhu naturally sensed Kyle's steadily rising magic power. The tiger carefully stared at Kyle, then slowly stacked the pace, set up an attack stance. Looking at the inflamed tiger in front of him, Kyle was contemptuous, only to see him stretch out his palm. Before the tiger got close to him, he unleashed the wind attribute primary attack magic wind blade on the tiger. However, this primary magic had the power of an intermediate magic. Kagome knew that this was the magic that Kyle had inherited as the son of a duke's family, but Yanhu was not that easy to deal with. Yanhu jumped sideways and escaped from the attack range of the wind blade. The tiger's mouth was filled with burning flames. Kyle raised his right hand and used the magic power of wind magic to compress the air around his palm in a split second. The two attacks hit each other, and when the air bomb and the flames collided, flames shot out in all directions. A powerful aura ravaged the entire venue. The entire hall was immediately enveloped by the explosion of light. The flames lit up the surroundings. The wind was blowing furiously. The other students couldn't open their eyes because of the aura. Just when Kyle thought he was winning, Kyle looked back at Aisha and smiled in order to give her a handsome image. He exposed his back to Yanhu completely. Aisha saw the scene and clenched her small hand. She hurriedly exclaimed, "Be careful of your back." Yellow Hair saw the scene and turned back in a hurry, only to see Yanhu's bloody mouth wrapped in flames, once again aimed at Kyle. Only this time, it was at an extremely close distance. Kyle was unable to dodge. Look out! It's a ferocious tiger. However, he met me today. He can only meow in front of me, but not in front of others. At this time, a girl screamed loudly. Yellow Hair, who thought he had defeated the tiger, looked back. The tiger pounced on him from behind. Kyle couldn't dodge and was knocked to the ground by the tiger. Yanhu then stored up strength and attacked Kyle's head. Horrible flames raging. The surrounding students also showed a worried expression and asked Miss Kerr if Kyle would be able to survive. Teacher Kerr was pondering with her hand on her chin, and didn't answer. At that moment, the fire in the field rose up and lit up the whole training ground. At that moment, Yanhu's eyes widened. He let out a roar and a look of horror, but in the end, his attack was parried by Kyle, and he punched him to the ground. Kyle's face was a mess, and some of his clothes had been burned off, but he was still in one piece. He couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth, thinking that this little girl, Elsa, must have been charmed by herself by now. With this in mind, he walked towards Elsa and couldn't help but show off to her. How about it? Our team should be the first to complete the mission easily, right? However, Kagome's next words caused a painful sensation on Kyle's cheeks. Kagome told them that they were the second team to complete the quota, and that it was now free time, so they could continue to practice or go for a rest. This caused Kyle to be startled and bellowed. No way! There can't be anyone faster than me. This must be a mistake. Kyle said, "There's no mistake. You're the second team to finish," and pointed to the first team to finish. The crowd followed the gaze of Kagome's finger and looked at it. They saw a huge tiger rolling around on the ground, being cute and cuddly. At this moment, the tiger was in the form of a kitten, and was behaving in front of me and the ladies, and at the side of the cat sucking. Not right, the people sucking on the tiger were me and Eggle, who were both obsessed with it. It was 15 minutes ago. I was still feeling sad that I hadn't teamed up with Aisha. A white-haired girl found me and greeted me. I just looked at her blankly and asked her what she was doing. She called herself Eggle. She drew number 7, just like me. I was still reeling from the pain of not being teamed up with Elsa. The young lady was furious, but all I could think about was Elsa. My behavior annoyed Eggle. She grabbed her weapon. She jumped up and hit me with her axe. I didn't seem to notice. The axe was about to fall, but I just raised my hand. I just raised my hand and caught her axe with 2 fingers. I said lightly that I was listening. The girl gritted her teeth, but there was nothing she could do. She told me to stay here and not to cause her any trouble. After saying that, she turned around and left, stating that she could defeat Yanhu by herself. Looking at her back, I was worried. After that, she jumped and attacked the tiger. She attacked the tiger with a huge axe. Eggel's speed is still not as fast as Yanhu's. The tiger deftly dodged the attack. The young lady's eyes stared. She gripped the weapon in her hand. She slammed into the ground. Then she kicked at Yanhu with a sliding shovel. Although the kick hit, power tiger poison was not harmed by Yanhu. Instead, it was wrapped around Yanhu's small feet by Yanhu's attack. The girl was suddenly filled with panic, but she was thrown up by Yanhu with force. She landed heavily on the ground, and her axe also fell to the side. Looks like she was badly hurt. Taking advantage of this moment, Yanhu pounced on Eggel at once. Aegir saw that it was too late to escape. With great effort, he picked up the giant axe and put it up. The long iron bar of the axe handle blocked the tiger's bloody mouth. Eggel desperately tried to resist, but he did his best. But Yanhu is a fire attribute summoned beast. How could it be blocked by this mere axe handle in front of her? Seeing Yanhu being so aggressive towards Sis, it made me extremely annoyed. However, the girl's body couldn't stop trembling under Yanhu's attack. How can you be so mean to a sister? Kitten. Yanhu froze as he was subdued by my aura, only to see me staring at Yanhu who was bullying the sister. Eggel's face turned pale, and she could only let Yanhu kill her. However, the ferocious Yanhu in 1 second, but the next second, it became a cute and cuddly tiger. The girl was stunned. Is this thing still a tiger? Kor explained that the strongest way to defeat magical beasts is to domesticate them. Looking at such a kind tiger, Aisha also liked to rub her little hands. This makes the side of Kyle is not happy. Eyes gloomy, he glared at me, who was teasing the tiger with the 2 beauties. Seeing such a big cat that was constantly asking to be petted, Eggel also petted it together. At that moment, a man walked by. Eggel looked towards him. It turned out to be Kyle, who came over and taunted him, saying that he had come across a loved one's inferno, and had completed the task so easily. When this remark was made, there was also a lot of talk in the neighborhood. After all, no one wants to admit that someone else is good. Seeing that this person is still not dead, I said softly, not by luck, it is by my natural magic, taming the beast. The people around us also let out a gasp of surprise. Kyle continued to taunt him. I've never heard of this kind of magic, so I'm going to follow the basic law. If that's the case, just watch me. All around us, the tigers are raising their heads. I'm standing right in the middle of the tigers. The people around me didn't know what I was going to do. I just gave them a look. All the tigers were defeated, as if they were all subordinate to me. I stood in the middle of the field, like an emperor. I looked around me coldly. Kyle was gritting his teeth, his face full of disbelief. Everyone in the neighborhood stared in disbelief. Eggel looked at me with admiration. At this time, Kerr appeared. She interrupted this matter. It ends here. With a wave of her hand, she created a magic formation in her hand. Then she took back all the tigers on the field. She asked me if I had registered my natural magic when I entered the school. I pretended to be stupid, but no one asked me. Kegom explained that everyone was free to go about their business. After that, Kegom left and went to the teaching room. Looking at the departing Chloe, I breathed a sigh of relief. It's a good thing I've read human novels before. The pressure of the instant release of natural magic should not have been detected by Kur. The scene changes. At this time I am chatting with Aisha and Aegir, but it makes the face of Kyle in the back gloomy. You have this kind of talent magic. No wonder the magic wolves in the entrance test didn't lay a hand on you. Hearing this, there was also a lot of talk in the neighborhood. I thought to myself, this yellow hair is going to start messing up again. He's probably saying that I intentionally controlled the demonic wolf, and then waited for the opportunity to molest Aisha. This makes me feel confused. Human imagination is too rich nowadays. Luckily, Aisha and Egel spoke up for me. When the students around us heard this, they didn't continue to speak. At that time, Elsa also explained that the wind wall could not resist the demonic wolf at that time. Fortunately, I saved her in time. I hope that everyone will not misunderstand it again. When Kyle heard that the wind could no longer withstand it, his face was extremely gloomy. He clenched his fist and smashed it into the ground. This woman must have lied to help him, but at this point no one cares about him anymore. I stated that it's still Aisha who has a good heart that one has to love. Kegom arrived in front of Aceman's office and, knocking lightly on the black wooden door with her hand a few times, Cole excitedly rushed into Aceman's office. Teacher, I found the one who has the gift of animal taming magic, she shouted. As he looked at Kegom, Aceman's also showed a look of surprise prize. What about strength? To what extent can you control the strength of a summoned beast now? I'm not sure yet, but a summoned beast of the flame demon wolf rank can be controlled at once. Kagome answered Aceman's question truthfully. After hearing that, Aceman stroked his goatee while searching for something to do. In that case, it looks like he might be able to help you very soon. The scene changes. I'm chatting with Aisha. Aisha said that the lesson later on seems to be the history of the Elsini continent. I thought to myself, I wonder if it will talk about me blowing up the hanging city. Just then, Kagome came over with a bad feeling. She asked me to go with her to the Judgment Tower. Inside the Tower of Judgment, a statue was erected in various poses. Like a living person, a holy light appeared all around us. Kerr and I went to the center of the field. I asked Kagome what she had brought me here for. Kagome said she had something important to ask me. Then she asked, "Do you wish to become my Flame Witch's disciple?" I was dumbfounded. Kagome was still thinking that no one would refuse to be the disciple of an Imperial Ace Wizard. I refused without hesitation. At this time, Kagome hadn't reacted yet, so that's good. After reacting, pointing at me, she trembled and said, "Did you just say the word refuse?" I said, "Yes, I'm here to find a wife, not to serve tea to others." I suddenly thought of something. It seems that there is no rule that a master can't be a disciple's wife. Right. Kur said she didn't want it. That can't be helped, I sighed. I turned around and said, "Forget it." That made Kagome grit her teeth. Then I said, "Do you think you can find a wife in your current position? I suggest you think back to what you did for a living before you started school." I turned my head and looked at her. I thought back to when I first came to the human world, thinking back to the high prices of goods, commissions that were less than a writer's hair, 3 gold coins for all your hard work. If I don't have money, will Aisha reject me? No, I can't do that. Looking at my expression, Kur knew she had to win. She continued, "As a disciple of my legacy, you will have the right to inherit fame, status, and all of my property." At that moment, flames filled the tower. "So I'm going to ask you one last time. Do you wish to become a disciple of my legacy?" Charlotte Kerr. I turned my back and looked away. "Master Kerr, you think you've convinced me? Then, congratulations, Master Kagome." I say yes. Saying that, I darted towards Kagome. Kagome was shocked when she saw me running towards her, only to see me pounce on Kagome and murmur, "Master, I'm counting on you for my meals from now on."